Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go over your algebra benchmark for the spring of 2019, your reporting category 1 questions. So this is going to cover questions 2, 6, and 9. So if you missed any of these questions, this is going to kind of walk through the thought process you should have had so that when you take your benchmark in May and you see questions like this, you will be able to correctly answer them. So we're going to start with question 2. It says, which expression is equivalent to the opposite of 28 times the value of x squared plus 35 times the value of x? Okay, so if you look at your answers, it's giving you a clue. Anytime you see parentheses and then you have a term connected to the parentheses in front, they are factoring. So what they are wanting you to do is they are wanting you to see, do these coefficients have a common number I can divide out of each, and can I remove one or more of these letters from each term? You're finding the GCF, and that's why I have these boxes over here to kind of remind you, oh yeah, I need a GCF. So I'm going to put the opposite of 28x squared in this box and positive 35x in this box, and now I'm going to use my calculator if I can't remember or think of a common number that I can divide out of negative 28 and 35. So remember, you got to math over to number, and then you press 9 for GCD in your calculator. And remember, you can only put in 2 numbers at a time, and you can't put in a negative. So I'm going to make that 28 a positive, comma 35. And I'm going to take out a 7. And then if you look at your x's, x squared is really like x times x, and 35x, that's really 1x. So if I look at my terms, I can remove 1x from each term and still have enough x's. So I'm going to make this 7x. And so now I'm going to use my multiplication skills. What times 7x would give me negative 28x squared? Well, that would have to be a negative 4x. Okay, but if I look at my answer choices as I'm trying to do this, I don't see a negative 4x here. So all of these 4x's are positive. Well, if this is a positive 4x, then this has to be a negative 7x. And now I can use my multiplication skills to figure out what times a negative 7 is going to make a positive 35x, and that would be a negative 5. So my factors are negative 7x times the difference of 4 times the value of x and 5. And so now I'm looking for this answer in my answer choices. Well, I know it can't be F because that doesn't have a negative 7x, and neither does H, and negative 7x. And now I'm looking for 4x minus 5, and the only answer that has that is G. Okay, so remember, when they're asking which expression is equivalent and you see parentheses and a term in front connected with multiplication, you need to think GCF, they're factoring. All right, for the next one, now we're looking at which expression is equivalent to 144 times k to the power of 2 times r to the power of 14, all raised to the power of 1/2 for all positive values of k and r. And then this is laws of exponents. Laws of exponents. And remember, laws of exponents, you have your laws that you have to follow, but you have to remember, what am I doing to the exponents only? Okay, so I'm going to look at power law. That means do I have something in parentheses raised to a power? And I do. So that means I am going to multiply all of my variables with exponents. I am also going to multiply the number itself to that power of 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to start with 144. So I am going to use my calculator, and I'm going to type it in parentheses because that number is in parentheses to start off with, to the power of 1/2. I get 12. Well, if I look at my answer choices, that rules out G, and that also rules out H. If you got 144, you didn't raise it to 1/2. If you got 72, you were dividing 144 by half, or you were multiplying 144 times a half instead of raising it to the power of 1/2. Okay, now I'm going to look at k. So I know I'm going to have a base of k, and now I'm going to multiply the exponents. 2 times 1/2. 1. So I got k to the power of 1. All right, and my next variable is r. R times, now I'm going to multiply their exponents, so I'm going to say 14 times the power of 1/2. So I'm going to multiply those exponents, and I got 7. All right, so now I'm looking for my answer. 12 times k times r to the 7th, because I'm not going to see that power of 1. And the only one that has that is f. If you picked j for those powers, you did not multiply the 2 and the 14 by 1/2 to get the correct answer. So I am done because I did not need to use any of my other exponent laws to get my final answer. Now I'm going to move on to number 9. It says, in a sequence of numbers, the third term is 0, the fourth term is 6, the fifth term is 12, the sixth term is 8, and the seventh term is 24. Based on this information, which equation can be used to find the nth term of the sequence a sub n? Okay, so remember, in a sequence, your term numbers are x, and your term values, the actual numbers in the sequence, those are y. Okay, well, I don't know what term 1 and 2 are, but I do know that the third term is 0, and I know that the fourth term is 6, and the fifth term is 12, and the sixth term is 18, and the seventh term is 24. So these right now are just mysteries. They're question marks. So I got to figure those out. Well, these are the rules, guys. So remember, if n is going to change to x, so this is really y equals negative 6x plus 18. And this one is y equals negative 18x plus 6. And this is y equals 6n minus 18. And this is y equals 18x minus 6. So I'm going to go to my table because now I have equations and I'm going to match it up. So I'm going to go to y equals negative 6x plus 18. And I'm going to go to my table. And third term is 0. Fourth term, this can't be it because I'm not seeing a match in my table. So now I'm going to go to y equals and I'm going to type in negative 18x. Negative 18x plus 6. I'm going to go to my table. And this can't be it either because it's saying that when x is 0, I get 6, but that's supposed to be my fourth term. So I'm going to get 6x minus 18. Okay, and so now I want to see, I don't know what the first term is. The third term has to be 0, the fourth term has to be 6, the fifth term has to be 12, the sixth term is 18, and let's see if the seventh term is 24. It sure is. So this one looks like a winner, but I'm going to check my other answer. And if you look in the table, the third term has to be 0, and the fourth term has to be 6. And that doesn't match, so the correct answer has to be C. So remember, with sequences, you can put these in the table and then graph, go to y equals and graph it. But also, if you wanted to, you could have noticed that they were adding 6 every time. So you could have totally worked backwards and figured out that the first term, or the second term, would have been negative 6. Because we would have gone and subtracted 6. And then if I subtract another 6 from that, I would have gotten negative 12. And that could have helped you out as well.